Joining us today, Dave Hutchinson. He is running as the DFL endorsed candidate for the Hennepin County Sheriff, and he's kind enough to take some time today to talk about his race. Dave, thank you very much for the time.
Well, thank you, sir. I'm honored to be on. I was on your show one time, but you were gone. Robert Pilot had the helm, but I appreciate it a lot very much.
My pleasure. I have to put you officially into the Democrat of the Day slot here. That's now it's done. You're in there.
All
right.
I'm in.
For a refresher, who exactly is Dave Hutchinson?
Well, he is a guy who's just been a public servant my whole adult life. I come from a law enforcement family. My dad was an officer for about 30 years, and after he retired from that, he started teaching at the academy, teaching new officers report writing, and now my mom and dad are both currently part of this program called Minnesota CIT, which is the Crisis Intervention Training. So it goes in deep back in my blood, and public safety and public service is why I'm running. I'm running because, as you said, the current sheriff, he doesn't represent our values in Hennepin County. Hennepin County is over 60% DFLers. We care about our immigrant neighbors, and we need to have policy to protect them because, part of being sheriff, I always talk about, part of our job is to catch bad people, but a lot of our job is to make sure we help people who can't help themselves. I mean, that's most important, and I think people need to realize that.
Well, and it's like I said, I agree with you. I don't think there's anyone in Hennepin County that would be too comfortable, if on a county-wide seat that you'd have a person who was a big Trump supporter, because, not exactly the most popular guy here in the county. I think that should be a known commodity here. But if you mind if we don't go down to the basics for a quick second here. There are people that will ask the difference. It's like, okay, we have all these municipal police departments, Minneapolis, Bloomington, Edina, Wayzata, Minnetonka. What is different? We know county sheriffs, usually we think about them as rural county sheriffs, but talk about the role of the Hennepin County Sheriff, how it works within the county, especially with the larger population.
Absolutely. Well, Hennepin County, as you know, is the third most populated county in the Midwest. We have almost 1.4 million people, and the job of a urban sheriff is different than a rural sheriff. But 80% or so is in the jails, the courts, prisoner transports, but also statutory. We are responsible for warrants, civil, water patrol, and then we police in unincorporated cities like way out in Hamo and Loretto and those areas. But a lot of it is the sheriff is the lead law enforcement officer in the county, so a lot of policies will get driven from the county. We have a $100 million budget where, part of my plan is to increase how we deal with people with mental illness, addiction programs. And, with that big budget, we have the opportunity to help some of these smaller communities, or even cities like Brooklyn Center, which is a small blue-collar city that, I said it's a fair share of some crime, and we could come in and help them. We could do these programs with this co-responder program, which is a mental health professional being teamed up with a deputy, and we can respond countywide. So we're like the big brother, big sister of, these departments, and, it's a huge responsibility, and it just gets overlooked a lot because, we have Minneapolis, we have the suburbs, and another big thing we do is we do dispatch center. We dispatch, or Hennepin County dispatches for pretty much every single jurisdiction in Hennepin, besides Minneapolis, and I think Edina and Richfield share one, and then Bloomington has their own. But most of them, you call 911, it goes to the Hennepin County Sheriff's Department dispatch center, which is a huge, huge responsibility, and they're hurting. They're about 35 dispatchers short, and who's suffering from that? People who call 911.
Why are they 35 dispatchers short?
Well, a lot of it is, you can make more money going to, let's say, for instance, Edina. They pay more money. It's a better working environment. It's all administration. How do you treat your employees? Your employees are more likely to be loyal when you treat them with respect and dignity, and they're not getting that right now.
It is such an eclectic county because you do go out to the western side of the county, St. Bonnie's, Corcoran, stuff like that. I mean, it's rural. I mean, that's farm country out there. And so, and of course, in the middle of that, too, you also have to mention Lake Minnetonka as you talk about water You're responsible for a lot of the water patrolling and stuff like that. Have you ever been one of those guys that's had to go get one of those knuckleheads that goes too close to St. Anthony Falls and has to drag them out of that before they plunge to their death?
No,
No.
no, that would be, I don't work for the sheriff's department. That would be one of our jobs, and one thing that I would increase on is because, we need to make sure people are safe on our waterway, especially you talk about Lake Minnetonka. I mean, that's a big, big party area, and we want people to have fun, but we also want people to be safe, and so there's kind of like a fine line of how do you keep people safe, but let people have fun. So I think that's a big issue that we can work on. And I mean, like I say, Hennepin County is great. I mean, like you said, we have farms. One of the biggest cities in the Midwest. We have these people from all over the world. My Somali friends, my Hmong friends, Latino friends, and those are partly the reason why I'm running is because the current sheriff he treats them less than human. I mean, and we've all heard the joke of, if it wasn't for Minneapolis and our wonderful immigrants, we'd be a cold Omaha, Nebraska. I mean, really.
It's when you look at, especially in this day and age, and you look at the way that we look at people that are not Caucasian of descent, and there is some problems there. We have a large metro area. With it comes large metro area problems. You have a lower, there are larger groups of these migrant, peoples. And by the way, we should mention, we all, unless you're Native American, you all were a migrant person at one point. I mean, that has to be acknowledged. But
absolutely,
we have to, there is a tendency to vilify the latest group of immigrants, and as well vilify the Native Americans. Let's not forget about that too. And I don't know if that's necessarily the law enforcement's job.
No, but it's not. Our job is to keep people safe. Everybody is welcome in Hennepin County, and everybody deserves the same safety net. And we're here to serve you regardless of who you're from or where you're from or who you are, or who you love. As a sheriff, I don't care your documentation status. That's not our job. Our job is if you're here in Hennepin County on vacation, hanging out, you live here, that you have the same equal right as Tonka Bay people, the North Side people, to proper and respectful public safety, because they pay taxes. They're contributing members of society. I mean, these people are great, great people, and the ones that aren't, like any other race or ethnicity. Our job is to help people, but our job is to help people through getting the bad people out of society and in the treatment or wherever they need, or some circumstances we have to incarcerate them. But it shouldn't matter what where you're from or where you're born. I mean, this is America, like you said. We're from, I'm half Irish and a little bit of Lebanese. I mean, my family's from all over the world, and we've been here a long time, and it's now someone else's turn to come over here and make their lives better, make our lives better,
make America what it's supposed to be. And yeah, you're right. Vilifying entire races of people is not exactly a good way to start, especially when it's being done to appeal on one level. Dave Hutch is joining us. Dave Hutchinson is running as the DFL endorsed candidate for Hennepin County Sheriff, Democrat of the day. Let's talk. You talked about the dispatching office, the 911 callers. And the fact that there's a personnel issue there. They're short of manpower. Let's talk about the rest of it, because there is a large administration aspect of this job. As you talked about the many different jobs that you hold. How is the department being run now? Is it still short-staffed? Is it funded correctly, or is there a shortage of funds and things are not getting done correctly?
No, I don't think there's a shortage of funds. I mean, the $100 million budget seems pretty significant when you compare it to Ramsey County, which is about half the population, about half the staff, and their budget's well more. It's less than half. So the jail right now is running correctly, in my opinion. They hire licensed deputies, which they should just be correctional deputies, and the layman term that means, I'm a 22-year-old man or woman. I get out of college. I want to be a cop. But the first department I get hired is at Hennepin County. So the first part of my career is going to be set in the jail. And then as soon as these men and women get job offers from Minneapolis or the suburbs where they're actually on the street in a car, which helping people and doing what they love. So the turnover rate is terrible. Other metro counties like Ramsey, they employ just correctional officers in their jail, which those people are more likely to want to do that as a career. They have education that leans more towards corrections than law enforcement. So again, they're short in the jail, which makes the deputies have to be forced to work overtime, which affects their personal life. And if you're getting forced to work overtime, your personal life suffers. Your mental health is also going to suffer. I mean, we're human beings like anybody. So what I want to do is I want to make the jail a correctional officer only. I'm going to start taking licensed police officers out and putting them in the community, doing community outreach, doing crime suppression. But I really want to make sure that people know where their money's going. And, again, people in Minneapolis should be able to see what their sheriff's department does, just like the people in Loretto should be able to see. So I want to make sure that we're serving people the best, and that is making sure we hire, we train, and make sure the staff is protected, and make sure they're sane and healthy to serve. Because if we demand our deputies to treat the public with dignity and respect, as administrators, we need to treat our staff with dignity and respect.
When it comes to, last year we had the Super Bowl. And obviously the Hennepin County Sheriff's role in that was pretty dramatic. You obviously a marquee event. That's another unique element. That's not something, say, the Winnibigoshish County Sheriff is not necessarily going to be dealing with something on that magnitude. Talk about that role, too, because, there is an element of sort of ambassador to the city on these large events. And that, not only are you there to keep people safe, but once again, is to make sure that the community is well represented.
Yeah, and Hennepin County did a great job. For the Super Bowl, Minneapolis did a great job, and the transit police, all these suburban agencies came, different state agencies came. We even had cops from different parts of the country, and it's a whole collaborative event, especially in a metro area like ours. It's a medium-sized metro area, but we're not like as well equipped as Houston was before that. That's a huge city. They have more cops, but it's one of those things where, as sheriff, for those type of events like the Final Four come in, you have to make sure you reach out to all your partners, your chiefs of police, your Minneapolis, your suburb chiefs, even cross the river to the Ramsey County. And you get everybody involved, and like the old saying, we're better together. So if we can get every police officer and all these people together, we can make these big events happen. Like, Hennepin County, they did a stand-up job for the Super Bowl, but, I think if we have another big event, I think as sheriff, I could do just as well and hopefully make sure that the community is safe and sound.
I'd love to see you get a chance at that here. This, Dave, is where we always make a pitch. Help your local candidates, of course. But if you're listening to me right now, and especially if you're in Hennepin County, as your focus might be on the House races or on the Minnesota 5, the Minnesota 3 race, the reality is this Hennepin County Sheriff's race, this is just as important, and it's very important that we get out and help out Hutch here as he's making this campaign. Dave, if people want to get out, donate, and volunteer for your campaign, what's the website for them to do so?
Yeah, please do. It's DaveHutchForSheriff.com, and I have a great staff and volunteer base. But we need door knockers, and we need phone bankers, and we need some cash, of course. But we can get this done. We're not going to raise as much money as the current sheriff, but to be honest, I don't want to. I'd rather have people power and people like you that have a progressive message. Like, Hennepin County is the greatest county in the nation. We just need to redo how we're policing. We got to protect our immigrant communities, our people suffering from mental health crisis, and people suffering from addiction problems. Those are, again, we're not here just to arrest bad guys. We're here to help people who can't help themselves. And as your next sheriff, I promise you that I'll do the best I can. But we need your help, like you said.
We need a sheriff that's not a Trump lapdog. We also need a sheriff that basically represents the county. That's for sure. Dave Hutch for Sheriff, SHERIFF.com. I'll link to everything a little bit later on. If you do win, I'll go with you one day on a water patrol. How about that?
Let's do it. Yeah, I can. We'll get some sun and scope it out. So I appreciate it, and I appreciate the time, and I'll come on anytime you want me to.
Thanks, Dave. Dave Hutchinson is the DFL endorsed candidate for Hennepin County Sheriff. Kind enough to join us today. Democrat of the day. We'll take a break. Come on back. It's the Matt McNeil Show right here on AM 950.